Blessings, YouTube, and welcome to Body Rhythms. Today we're going to be talking about insomnia. This is the third of the three-part miniseries on sleep. What is insomnia? Insomnia is the habitual sleeplessness. It is an ability to fall asleep, stay asleep, or it is when someone wakes up too early from sleeping. Either way, it results in no sleep. If you've watched my sleep deprivation video, then you already know how important sleep is to the functioning and maintaining of our bodies. In America, according to the research that I did, in America, 1/3 of Americans suffer from insomnia. And I also found out that women were twice as likely to suffer from insomnia. And I also found out that out of all those people that are suffering from insomnia, only about 20% even go to get help. And that's a problem. As I mentioned in my sleep deprivation video, sleep is essential for our body's functioning, and without it, it can cause all kinds of problems, not just internally, but externally in the world that we live in as well. With insomnia, there are, I guess you can call sleep disorders that also trigger insomnia. And there's actually a lot of things that trigger insomnia, you'd be surprised. But we're going to talk briefly about some of the sleep disorders that trigger insomnia. And then I'm going to go over a couple of the lifestyle activities that we do that can also contribute to insomnia. First off, there's about 3 very common sleep disorders that people suffer from. That's sleep apnea, in which the membrane in your nasal passage blocks your breathing and forces you to wake up. It's like being suffocated, and your body just automatically wakes up. A lot of people have that. A lot of people can't even comfortably go to sleep because they know that they're going to wake up, or a lot of times they're afraid to go to sleep because they're not really certain if they are going to wake up. So that's sleep apnea. Then you have narcolepsy. Now, narcolepsy is interesting in that it's almost the opposite of insomnia. With narcolepsy, the person will fall asleep anywhere, anytime, like that. There's no set pattern of sleep. It's whenever they feel a little bit of comfort or a little bit of relaxation, they can just drift off. And clearly, for obvious reasons, that is dangerous. Let's say they're driving, or if they're operating heavy machinery, or doing something that requires 100% alertness, then there's going to be some sort of problem. Now, the other sleep disorder is restless leg syndrome. And with restless leg syndrome, the nerve endings are just overactive. And what happens is, as soon as their body relaxes, the nerves in their legs are still going. So they might have twitching, they might have itching, they might have throbbing, any type of achiness, anything, any type of sensation in their legs. And it will cause them to be uncomfortable. And the only way to get it to stop is to move. So clearly you can't sleep and move at the same time. So if you have restless leg syndrome, you most likely suffer from insomnia as well. Within the insomnia, there's about 2 categories, and within those 2 categories, there's some other subcategories. There's either primary, or what is called acute insomnia, or there's chronic insomnia. Now, with primary and acute insomnia, that's more short term. That's the type of insomnia that people experience. Everyone at some point in their life has experienced insomnia. A life event could trigger it. Something like an exam. You might have an exam if you're a student, and you might be a little worried or nervous, so your brain is a little overactive at night. You're not able to sleep because you're thinking about the answers, or what the possible questions are, or what is the outcome if you don't pass. Things like that. For children, it could be something like a holiday. the grandparents coming over, and they're like, oh, I'm so excited, I can't sleep, when is grandma coming in, and they're like, oh, I've been up for 2 days waiting for grandma. But what's funny about kids is that when you go and look at them, they're asleep. But either way, let them have that. There's also insomnia that's triggered by climate change. The weather could have changed, and sometimes when it's too hot, you can't sleep. Sometimes when it's too humid, you can't sleep. So it could be something as simple as like the weather change. It could also be triggered by a stressful event. You have bills that need to be paid, or you're about to move, or you're about to have a baby, or you're about to get married. So any of those type of life situations can cause one to not sleep for a day or two. And that's okay. Like I said, that's normal. And that's what we call acute, because it only lasts for like a week or two. Anything above 2 weeks, when you get into 3 weeks, then you're getting into chronic insomnia. And that is what defines chronic insomnia. When it's 3 or more times a week, 3 or more weeks in a month, 3 or 4 months out the year, then you are suffering from insomnia. And you should get help. You should get help. I will give a couple of tips at the end of my video of how you can maybe try and help yourself. But if you're not able to correct it in a week or two, then you might need to get some help, because as I mentioned in my sleep deprivation video, sleep is essential to the body's functioning and maintenance. So yeah, you might want to get some help. Just to go through some of the little subcategories of insomnia quickly, just to give you an idea. There's adjusted insomnia, like I said, where it's just triggered by an event. And you know what the source is. You say, oh, I have that test coming up, I'm nervous, I can't sleep. Or, oh, I've got that interview for my job coming up, I'm nervous, I can't sleep. It has an exact source. You know what the source of the stress or the anxiety is. There's also behavioral insomnia. And having a nighttime routine or not having a nighttime routine can also trigger insomnia, particularly in children. Sometimes babies are rocked to sleep or get a bottle to sleep, and that's the only way that they can go to sleep. That is their routine for going to sleep. So if you don't give it to them, they're not going to be able to go to sleep. And the reverse is also true, especially in children. You see it. Without a sleep routine, or without a set schedule or a set time to go to sleep, they won't go to sleep. Their bodies are out of whack. You got to remember, they're still young, and they're only going to do exactly what you allow them to do. So unless you establish a nighttime routine, they may not adapt one as an adult. Some insomnia is just, they claim it's just lifelong. The person has had it their whole entire lives. They don't really know why, or they don't know when it started. They just know that they never really went to sleep. My guess is that somewhere in their childhood, either they didn't have a good bedtime routine, or they had such a good bedtime routine that when it was stopped, they weren't able to continue going to sleep. What is it that you do before you go to sleep? If you're someone that's watching, action movies while you're in your bed and you're supposed to be lulling off, then no, you may not go to sleep as quickly, because your brain is going to be stimulated in a different way. It's going to keep you up. Sometimes people that take medications are not able to go to sleep because the medication keeps them up. And you can see it on even on some aspirins, headache medicine. It says on there, may cause sleeplessness. It says it right there on the package. So some medicines contribute to it. Some medical conditions contribute to it as well. Like I said, the restless leg. You've got diabetes. Diabetes, depending on which stage and which type of diabetes you have, can keep you going to the bathroom all night, so that you'll never get to sleep. Depression. Depression is one of those things like stress, worry, anxiety, anything that goes on in your head and you're not able to shut it off can keep you up all night. depression and the medicines to treat it can also keep you up at night. And again, we're not talking about one night here or there, one night out of a year, one night out of a month. We're talking about a couple of nights up out of the week, out of the month, out of the year. So that it's a series, it's a pattern, and you'll know the difference. I mentioned early on that women are 2 times as likely to suffer from insomnia. And it really has a lot to do with our hormones and just who we are socially. So socially, we're moms, we're wives, we're sisters, we're daughters, we're all these things to a lot of people. And you'd be surprised what will keep a mom up at night. What little silly things will keep a mom up at night. If they're experiencing anything in their relationship, that will keep them up at night. If they are experiencing anything with their job, that will keep them up at night. And as we go through different stages in our life, our bodies also produce the hormones differently. So when you're pregnant, clearly being pregnant can be uncomfortable, and you may not sleep as well as you'd like to. But it has a lot to do with, with the belly there. And that's a temporary thing. You won't be pregnant forever. But what also happens with women is as we get older and we approach menopause, which is the cessation of our reproductive cycles, our bodies start to react and respond differently. The hormones are not being produced the same way. It causes things like hot flashes and night sweats and irritability, things like that, things that we have no control over, but that will also keep us up at night. If you're going through night sweats, you'll be up throughout the night trying to either cool off the room or warm it up, cool it off, warm it up, blankets on, blanket off, that type of thing. Because of lifestyles here in America, with the shift working, people have to be to work, either from 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever it is. Because of those shifts, it doesn't allow our bodies to always be in sync with the sun, with our natural melatonin triggers. The sun or lack of sun triggers melatonin in our body. Somewhere around about, I think I read around about 9 o'clock in the morning is when our melatonin production stops. All nighttime functions, all nighttime operations, chemical productions, anything that goes on in our bodies is usually stopped by 9 o'clock in the day. And so from 9 to 9, our bodies are in awake function, meaning that the chemicals that are being produced and the hormones that are being produced are hormones and chemicals that are necessary for us to get through the day. When you don't eat the right foods, you sometimes you can throw off that melatonin production. Spicy foods, things like garlic, chili, cayenne, stimulate and cause your brain to be overactive as well as your digestive system. And so you may not want to eat particularly spicy foods if you're trying to get to sleep. Same with gassy foods. You wouldn't really want to eat, a big meal of beans or broccoli or anything that's going to cause your body to be gassy at night, because then you're going to stay up. So you want to watch out for spicy foods, gassy foods. You also want to be careful of stimulants. What I mean by stimulants are caffeine and alcohol. When you drink alcohol, you might feel a little drowsy, like you want to sleep, I guess. You might feel a little sedated, but the alcohol is a diuretic, so it's going to start dehydrating you. And the minute that you go to sleep, it's not going to contribute to the nighttime functions of your bodies. In fact, it's going to put you in a tailspin. Eating your food too fast can also have an effect, because you're just shoving the food in your body. You're not giving it a chance to digest properly. You're not eating the right amount, and then you go and be active right afterward. You don't give yourself a chance to digest. You don't give your bodies an opportunity to cycle through its functions. Now, caffeine. I know everyone's been waiting. Well, what about caffeine? What about caffeine? Caffeine is an absolute no-no. if you are suffering from insomnia, you want to remove caffeine from your diet altogether as soon, as quickly, as fast, as whatever as you can from your diet. Caffeine is a stimulant and it's also a diuretic. So not only is it going to keep you up, it's going to suck all of your life essence from you as well. Caffeine can linger in your body from 8 to 12 hours. So when you drink that cup of coffee in the morning, you're like, oh, I need to stay up, it keeps me up. And then it's 9 o'clock at night, and you're like, how come I'm still up? I had that coffee so long ago, why am I still up? It's because the caffeine lingers in your body for 8 to 12 hours. So if you're really trying to get a good night's sleep, you either might want to drink less coffee or forgo it altogether. The thing with caffeine is that it's hidden sometimes in food, it's hidden in other drinks, but you'll still feel it. You can still feel it. Me, I'm one of those people. I can, I won't say I can smell caffeine, but I feel caffeine immediately. And my kids used to think I was really weird because I would say, oh my goodness, there was caffeine in that. And I'm running to look at the label, and sure enough, caffeine right in there. And I have any source of caffeine, it immediately makes me jittery. And it's the same with chocolate. So you may not want to eat a lot of chocolate also during the day. Chocolate is also a stimulant. It works in very much the same way as caffeine. And you may also want to stay away from MSG. From what I understand, MSG triggers weird dreams, which I don't doubt. It's one of those nasty chemicals that Monsanto has been infiltrated into our nutritional system. It's one of those chemicals that has been put into our food without our permission. So now that we know what insomnia is and what causes it, how do we go about fixing it? How do we help our bodies to get the sleep that it requires? I'm going to give you a couple of quick steps that may or may not help you. Again, like I said, if it doesn't help you, if you're not seeing noticeable changes in a week or two, then you may need some help. And it's not a bad thing. You don't have to go, to the doctor like, oh God, no, I have a problem, I have a condition. It's something that can be corrected. So long as we are alive, we have these internal clocks, our circadian rhythms. Our bodies will do what it's supposed to do. It's really weird because I read somewhere that over 95% of what we do on a daily, we do without even thinking. And it's only when we start thinking about things that we start messing up our internal body systems. These bodies can almost operate without us doing a thing other than supplying it with water, good nutrition, and sleep. Our bodies can function on their own. They really don't need us. In fact, I think we mess things up. So what are some quick ways that we can re-regulate our internal sleep cycles and our internal body clocks for sleep? The first thing that I would say is monitor what you eat during the day. Be mindful of how much caffeine you're drinking. Okay, some people say, oh, I don't drink coffee, but they drink soda. Did you know that most soda contains caffeine? So some people say, oh, but I don't drink that either. I just drink, I drink decaffeinated tea. I drink decaf. But did you know that even in decaffeinated tea and coffee, there's still some caffeine in there? And if you're like me, all it takes is a drop and I'm raring to go. If I have any caffeine at all, I'll probably be up for a week just because it just takes so long to get out of my system. And if you're not able to, then make sure that after 2 p.m. you're not drinking anything that has caffeine in it. That goes for soda, that goes for eating chocolate, that goes for Starbucks, anything from Starbucks, mocha latte, latte, all the lattes. Cut it out. Another thing you want to do is adapt a bedtime routine. Try to get yourself into a routine. As you're approaching bedtime, you may not want to eat or drink anything that's going to stimulate your brain. An hour or two before you want to go to sleep is when you should start implementing your bedtime routine. And it should include a warm bath. Once you've decided that you have insomnia and that you want to change it, then you have to set about changing almost everything. So our bodies are naturally equipped to shut down at the end of the day. But it takes its triggers from the natural light. So you want to wake up and get that first burst of sunlight. Even if it's cloudy or overcast, go outside. Open your eyes. Take a walk if you can. And the moment that your eyes get that sunlight, it's going to recalibrate your internal body clock. And that's what you want to do. People who have insomnia, their body clocks are all out of kilter. So when you start your day with that first sunlight, you immediately begin to recalibrate your internal body clock. So you want to start with that. If you can, if you're able to, try to do at least 30 minutes of some type of exercise. I would say 3 to 4 times a week. Try to take a walk early in the morning. Get your body up. Get yourself synchronized with the day, with nature. It activates the chemicals and hormone production that your body needs to get through the day and also to shut down to recharge at night. If at all possible, try to go to sleep and wake up at the same time of day. So if you work during the week 9 to 5 and then the weekend comes and you say, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep in, here's what you can do. Still wake up like your regular time, get a little bit of sunlight, take a brisk walk, and if you're still tired, take a nap. There's nothing wrong with taking a nap. You don't want to sleep too long though, because it'll throw off your schedule for later on. But get up the same time every day if at all possible, and go to sleep the same time every night at all possible. Now, if those things don't help and you need an extra boost, remember the melatonin that I was talking to you about? You can buy that over the counter in stores. In fact, it's the only hormone that you can buy without a prescription. There are some natural sources of melatonin, and they are pineapples, bananas, oats, barley. Those are some things that help the body trigger melatonin. There are over-the-counter melatonin sources that you can buy, but they don't really synergize with the body the same way. It's not as biocompatible as, say, your own body producing it. So if you can trigger your own body's production of melatonin, then that's the optimal way to do it. So that's about it. I hope that was helpful and helped to shed some light for people who are experiencing insomnia, or people who know someone who is experiencing insomnia. Like I always say, our bodies are so amazing and so magnificent. They know what to do. They can take care of themselves. 95% of what we do on a daily, we don't even do consciously. Our body is just doing it on auto. So the few little things that we can do for it, we need to be very diligent about doing it. We need sleep, we need water, and we need good nutrition. So again, if you've liked my video, please like it. By all means, share it if you find that any of this information was helpful, and subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can be in my higher frequency loop. Thank you again for watching, and blessings.